Welcome to Women in Clean Tech and Sustainability and Green Career Shift workshop on expanded entry points into climate work. So really excited and happy to be able to provide this workshop to you guys today. Let me take a look at our chat and see where you guys are calling in from. Los Angeles, awesome. Recent grad, fantastic. Welcome, welcome. Okay, great. So I'm going to go over just a couple of points and then we're going to turn the stage over to our special guest today. So just a quick overview of what we'll be doing today, and we'll lead you through all of this. But we're going to spend just a couple of minutes saying hi and then we'll get started. Welcome everybody who just joined. Thank you for saying hi in chat. Oh, wow, Honolulu area. That's exciting. We love Hawaii. I lived there for 8 years, so
Oh, you lucky dog.
yeah,
Oh,
it's very exciting. Aloha. Okay. I think oh no, here's one more person. All right. We'll let this person in and then I will introduce our esteemed guest. All right, welcome everybody. So I have the pleasure today of introducing Lisa Sachs, the facilitator of today's workshop. Lisa is the founder of Green Career Shift and creator of the Visibility Blueprint Strategy, helping purpose-driven professionals stand out in a crowded job market. With more than 2 decades of experience in high-tech sales and an MBA in sustainable enterprise, Lisa combines sharp business acumen with scientifically based approach to mindset, positioning, and career strategy. Her work equips professionals with the clarity, confidence, and conviction needed to communicate their value and create opportunities for impactful work on climate solutions. A speaker and workshop facilitator, Lisa delivers programs for professional organizations like ours, universities, and climate-focused member organizations dedicated to expanding access to climate careers and strengthening the sustainability workforce pipeline. Lisa is a Terra.do fellow and active member of Work on Climate, My Climate Journey, Women in Clean Tech and Sustainability, Women and Climate. And her mission is simple: to help get the right people in the right jobs to accelerate climate solutions. I'm very, very pleased to have Lisa here today with us. And so I am going to go ahead and turn the stage and the screen over to Lisa. So happy to have you here today.
Is Lisa is on mute?
Sorry, Lisa, you are muted.
yeah, okay, I'm back. Mhm. Okay, and can everyone see my slides?
Perfect.
Great. Okay. Well, hello and welcome to the workshop. I'm so glad you've decided to join us today. And you're here because you want to contribute to climate solutions and do meaningful work in sustainability. I'd love to hear where you are in your journey in the chat. If you could please share if you're clear on where you want to have impact at this point, or if you're still exploring. Give folks a moment to do that if you would. Okay. Okay, a lot of explorers today. Okay, that's great. This is perfect. Okay. Clear but still looking. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. let me get back here. Okay, thank you for that. Um, so most of you are still exploring, and perhaps you could put in the chat if you started your job search and what your experience has been so far. Maybe not many of you. It seems like most of you are still in exploration mode. I'll give you a moment for that. Okay. So I founded Green Career Shift and my coaching methodology because I was a green job seeker myself. I've been interested in sustainability and climate solutions for a long time. And as Marika mentioned, I earned a green MBA. And it was frustrating for me. I just found that I wasn't getting responses and getting ghosted. And so I thought there has to be a better way. And I have really good news today that I'm happy to share. And we're going to look at how your skills and strengths translate into the value you bring and how this applies to real opportunities in climate. But before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge and thank you for your commitment and dedication to landing or creating meaningful work in climate solutions that you love and that benefits all of us. This is heart-centered work, and I try to never lose sight of that. Everyone here today wants to make a difference, and that's really wonderful. The stakes for our planet have never been higher, and your contribution is needed now more than ever. So thank you. Now, on with the good news, which is the market is changing, it's expanding. So there's now a skills-based path into the sustainability job market, built on the understanding that climate solutions now span business units and functions, not just traditional sustainability roles. And demand for talent is growing rapidly, with organizations, believe it or not, struggling to find the right people. But many job seekers don't always recognize how their skills and experience will apply to climate jobs. Many climate roles have the title sustainability and sustainability adjacent titles, but many times they encompass other disciplines. So the question shifts from, do I have the right background, to how do I view and position what I already know how to do in a way that aligns with this work? And that's what we're here to talk about. So the climate sector now spans every sector. So what I mean by that, oops, excuse me. What I mean by that is, oops, sorry about that, that everyone, companies from Morgan Stanley to Target to consumer packaged goods like Procter and Gamble and Clorox, they all have sustainability initiatives. And they need people who can do that reporting for them, who can do the work. So it spans a lot of different roles, and talented professionals are needed. And so hiring is shifting towards skills and not titles, which is great news. So this is how organizations are finding the people to do that work. It's no longer about having the right title, it's about having the right skills. What matters is what you can do, how you think, how you solve problems, and how you contribute, because these transfer across roles, teams, and industries, which means your experience doesn't have to look like a traditional climate background job to be relevant. The shift then is learning how to interpret what you already know how to do in terms of the value that it brings. So different functions play different roles. Strategy sets direction, operation drives execution, finance allocates resources, and communication shapes how people engage and act. So climate work doesn't live in one team. It runs through the entire organization, and this is how people are finding the work gets done. So you don't need a climate title. Your experience is more relevant than you think, because what matters isn't the title, it's the value. So the question shifts from, do I have the right title, to where can I most meaningfully apply the value I bring? So today we're going to bring your experience into a climate context. And it's really important to know your value. Most job seekers start with job titles, but organizations are thinking in terms of what needs to get done and who can do it. This is where the shift occurs. We start with value, and clarity is key because once you understand the value you bring, everything else becomes clearer. A new understanding of roles, how you position yourself, and the opportunities you pursue. Clarity turns effort into direction. So you were all given the high five assessment to help identify your strengths, and these groupings show how they translate into the value you bring. So let's begin with the analytical profile. So you make sense of complexity by turning it into insight and direction. You're the strategist, the thinker, the analyst, the problem solver, and the philomath, a new word for me, although I am one. I love learning. And what this means is you make sense of complexity and you turn information into direction. So you don't have to have all of these to recognize a pattern. The next one is execution. You turn ideas into action, ensuring that things actually get done. You're the deliverer, the executor, the organizer, the timekeeper, and the detail specialist. What this means is you move work forward. Next is the relational profile. You turn connection into alignment, making collaboration possible. You're the empathizer, the connector, the coach, the supporter, the harmonizer. You help to build trust. And last, the communication profile. You turn ideas into engagement, inspiring action. You're the storyteller, the influencer, the communicator, the promoter, and the presenter. What this means is that you make ideas clear and you drive understanding and action. So let's look at the value that you bring. You may have recognized your strengths in more than one profile. Most people are a combination, and the combination is where your unique value lives. So we're simply looking at where this is already showing up in your experience, not what you want to do someday, but what you already do. So we're going to go into breakout sessions of two pairs, but if there's an odd number, there'll be a trio. And I want you to refer to the worksheet. If any of you don't have the worksheet handy that Natalia sent out this morning, there is a link to it in the chat. So I'll give you a moment in case you need to access that. So Marika is going to break you out into pairs for about 5 minutes to discuss these questions that will also be in the chat. So feel free to refer to the worksheet, fill it in as you're going along. And we're not looking for perfect answers. We're just starting to notice patterns. So you'll have about 5 minutes to do that starting now.
All right, everyone's back.
Okay, there we go.
And Lisa, everybody's back, and we see
Great.
your notes right now.
Oh, sorry about that, everybody. How's that? Seeing my slides?
Yep.
Okay, thanks. Okay, welcome back. I hope you found that interesting and insightful and maybe made a new friend. So I'd love for a couple of you to share your reflections. So what your primary type is, and did that surprise you? And did characteristics from other strengths show up, and did those resonate as well? Anybody brave enough? You're among friends, I promise.
I'll share what we talked about. I'm staying off camera,
Okay.
because I'm sitting in my car, unfortunately.
Okay.
Um, but one of the things, like I've done multiple of these tests. Unfortunately, I couldn't do this test for whatever reason. I couldn't even get to the question or to be able to take the test. But having done these tests before, one of my strengths is strategy, like facilitator, communicator. Those three are my strengths. And the question that came up with the young lady I was talking to, and I didn't even pay attention to her name. I'm so sorry. Um, but the question came up is like, okay, so I do strategy, do work, I do marketing, and how do we translate our strengths and our work experience? Like right now, I'm trying to create a business use case for a process that doesn't exist, which is simply documentation. How do you translate that into your resume, or how do you bring that across when you're trying to even apply for a job in the sustainability sector or the climate sector, so that somebody will say, yes, I want to talk to this person? Like, just like every single person in this room right now, I tried for 2 years and I finally gave up. And ultimately, I got a job as a marketing manager with USA Triathlon simply because my ex boss works there.
Mm.
So I think that's like the biggest question that I'm sure a lot of ladies have, is that how do we translate what we've done, what our experiences, what our strengths are, in a way that somebody would even want to look at our resume and give us a call back?
That's what we're going to talk about today. Great question. And that's the whole purpose for this workshop, is because so many people have transferable skills, but they're not really sure how to articulate them in a way that's going to get someone's attention. So we're going to look at that today. So great question. Did anybody want to mention their type, if anything surprised them, um, other characteristics from other strengths that showed up? Oh, Kat? So people
Hi.
would prefer to speak. Yeah, that's great, as opposed to using the chat.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I thought I was having a moment of like, I'm clicking the button, but nothing's happening. Yeah, so I had the pleasure of meeting Karen. Both of us are actually looking um, and related on a number of the top five because we saw similarities. But in the breakdown that you shared, Lisa, in the worksheet, my top was deliverer. So I guess that's the execution
Hmm.
section. Philomath was another one, so that's more analytic based. But at the top five, I didn't have any relational or communication, even though I feel like that is something that are strengths, but they could have been in the top like 15, because I think this assessment had a lot more if you wanted to do a deeper dive. But the surface, those make sense. Um, I like to think things through. I like creating ideas and putting action to them. Um, you know, helping people along kind of in a team building atmosphere. But we also talked about liking independent, like doing independent work. So like that might also factor into analytical. So I was seeing similarities of recognition. Um, and the assessment itself tried very hard to just answer them quickly without
Yeah,
thinking about it too much.
yes. So
Yeah.
this sounds like it resonated with you, and you're, at least at first glance, analytical and execution. So if you're currently working, what do you do now?
Well, I'm not currently working.
What have you
As
done?
I think I have, so I've worked in fundraising operations,
Okay.
working with small to larger teams that have an operation side and a donor facing side, for mission driven organizations largely,
Hmm.
and mainly in like the healthcare, social services industries. But there's a lot of intersection with environmental factors and climate, and I've been looking strategically for a number of years for things in that sector and learning knowledge and different things. But I think to what I think someone might was saying earlier, it's hard for me, especially being out of work for over a year and a half and still looking and knowing things are just changing very rapidly in the search, among other things, is translating that in a way that helps me understand more about what I'm trying to say and what my value is, but also what what the market actually needs, or what the company or organization that I'm prospecting is looking for and finding the bridge.
Sure. And certainly what I have learned over my work life is that kind of have to hit people over the head with it. You know, you have to connect the dots for them. And so this is really the starting point of knowing where your skills and strengths connect to climate work. So thank you for sharing that. And I totally understand. So let's take it a step further and connect value to impact, not just what you do, but what it creates. So the impact it has on teams, outcomes, and organizations. So let's begin with the value you identified in breakout one. And for the next 5 or 6 minutes with your breakout buddy, you're going to talk about the following: how your skills, how your strengths translate to value, and use the worksheet for this, what people rely on you for, where you create value, your impact, and where you think this can apply to climate work. And, bounce ideas off of each other. And I've kept them to, to duos and breakouts so you can go a little bit deeper than having more folks in the room at the same time. So Marika's gonna send you away for about 5 or 6 minutes. Um, and this is about what changes because of what you do, what's different as a result. So dig a little deeper on this one.
All right. Same thing. You're going to the same rooms with the same people. So here we go. And everyone's back.
Okay, great. Welcome back. I hope you found that helpful. And this normally takes more than a few minutes, so it's a bit of the Reader's Digest version. So, any way that this gets you thinking and moving in this direction is helpful. And I'm wondering if one or two of you brave folks would be willing to share what came up for you. Um, are you able to see thus far how your strengths translate to value, where you create value, what people rely on you for? And I'll preface that with I've worked with clients who don't really see skills and strengths that they have because they come so easily to them that they take them for granted. So the question, what do people rely on you for? It could be, keeping the trains moving. It could be focus on detail. It could be, running the meetings. It could be creating deliverables. Everybody does the work, but then it goes to you to put the final touches on it. So, anybody want to talk about that, or where you could end, or where you could see this applying in climate work?
I can go ahead and speak.
Great.
Yes, so I was in a room with Leslie and Leanne. Um, my primary strength was deliverer, and then empathizer, which I had spoken to them about the fact that I was a little surprised by empathizer. I've taken personality tests in the past that would lean more toward the analytical side. Um, but I also discussed that last year I worked for a sustainability nonprofit as an internship, and I was in a leadership role, and it was my first really official leadership role. And I had learned that I just naturally had empathy for people below me. I felt like I listened very well to their concerns. I feel like I also helped with retention, or keeping understanding why people were leaving, or just checking in with them and making them feel seen, and not like it was just a very mechanical internship experience for anyone. So I feel now like that's valuable, just having spoken about that to Leslie and Leanne. So I feel like that's something people could rely on me for, is to maybe make their experience more um, enjoyable, perhaps, but also still keeping the project on the deadline. I also spoke about
Yeah,
uh,
that's a great combo, empathizer and deliverer.
yeah, it's very, yeah, quite a bit different there. So I operate very well on deadlines, I was telling them. I love a black and white scenario. I love knowing what's expected of me and by when.
Mhm.
So I feel like I'm very good at following up with my team, getting uh, understanding where they're at with the project, and just looking over it with them and letting them know what's next. Um, so honestly, after speaking with them, I feel like those are very valuable strengths that I hadn't recognized before.
Oh, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that. And you could take the Myers-Briggs and, I took it 15 years ago and then one of the letters changed and I was really surprised. But we do change and, that's a good thing. So real I'm glad you had that experience. Good. Anyone else want to share?
I was in the same group and listening
Ah,
to Lexi and Leslie, I find it easier for me to think of how they map to what kinds of roles than it is for me and myself. I'm the
always.
empathizer relation person, so I'm more of, I think, change management and my values probably. I've always in consulting, I've worked with disparate groups of people and figured out how to get them on the same page. So I think there's a lot of roles for that in climate, just a matter of finding the right ones.
Yeah, and that makes me think of stakeholder engagement. And
Mhm.
a skill that some people really minimize or don't even think about is being able to articulate technical technical issues to different stakeholders in language they understand. That's a skill that not everyone has, and working across different stakeholder groups and getting consensus from groups. So, any kind of engagement and change management, as you probably know, is about people. Change management, whatever the change is, it's about getting people to buy in. So, it's all about communication. So, thanks for sharing that. So, what you just did is really important. You identified where your value and impact already show up or learn some new things about yourself, which means you're not starting from scratch. You're already doing the work. The shift is in recognizing and seeing where it applies. So, how this translates into opportunities. This is when you begin to notice opportunities you may not have noticed before. So the same value you describe can show up among or across different climate roles. So there may be different titles, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but they have the same underlying contribution. So instead of asking, do I qualify for this role? The question is, where is the value I create most needed? So let's go back to the profiles. And a typical role for an analytical type are ESG, sustainability analyst, risk strategy analyst, climate energy policy analyst. And the value created is clarity, helping organizations make better decisions in complex situations. So, how does this show up in real climate work? Interpreting data to guide decisions, identifying risks and opportunities, and developing strategy and building frameworks. So, other titles under analysts would be business, data, financial, and climate risk. And execution profile roles, and let me just preface this by saying, any one of these could be facilitator, assistant, manager, director, but you get the idea. Program, project coordinator, facilitator, ops, implementation specialist, project program manager, or director. So the value is progress, making sure things don't just get planned, but actually get done. They get executed upon. So, how does this show up in real work? Coordinating timelines and deliverables, managing projects and logistics, keeping work moving forward to meet deadlines on time and on budget. And that cannot be underestimated, the value in that for sure. Um, so, these roles all focus on execution. They may be called in climate parlance electrification program coordinator, energy efficiency program manager, and sustainability ops associate. And one thing I want to mention is in this area for folks who are mostly execution profile, don't overlook program assistant or administrative coordinator roles because those can be elevated into program and project manager roles. Even office manager for a small company, you can learn so much and move up within an organization. Next is a relational profile, and those roles are partnership stakeholder engagement manager, community outreach specialist, change management director, community engagement coordinator. So the value here is alignment, bringing people together so that work can move forward. So how this shows up in real work is building relationships across stakeholders, aligning teams around shared goals, and supporting or creating collaboration. So these roles may not always be labeled climate, but are essentially making this work successful. So for those of you with a background in sales, account management, and customer success, these roles can be a really good fit for you, although you would never get that by looking at the name of the work, the name of the job title. And lastly, communication
Sorry,
profile roles.
Lisa.
Yeah,
Can I ask you, you were
sure.
saying some different job titles that we might find these roles as, especially for the execution as well. You rattled off a few different ones,
Yeah.
but they didn't seem like the ones on the slide. That might be helpful if you have those listed, or I'm not sure if we're going to get, just because I might search for those names and titles
Yeah,
to
you know
see
what?
what comes up.
Sure. I'll make sure that you get the profile roles and what they map to so that you have that.
Yes,
Yeah,
that would be
thanks for
great.
bringing that up. Okay. And lastly, communication. So communications, content, strategy consultant, marketing campaigns, engagement or education director. And the value is engagement, helping ideas gain traction and turn it into action. So think about, PR, communications, and how this shows up is content creation, helping people understand and engage with important ideas and propagating ideas as through PR. So an organization, would need someone to make sure that everything in their annual report is effectively articulating all that they're doing around green and sustainability, as an example. So this can look like sustainability communications, ESG reporting, and climate education. And just like the other profiles, it's not a separate path. It's a different way of contributing to the same work. So we've just looked at 4 different ways that value shows up. So I really want to emphasize that you're not starting from scratch and you're closer than you think. Knowing that you can translate what you already know and do is really helpful. So the climate job market is evolving and work is expanding across industries and functions. So we shifted from thinking about titles to recognizing value, where it shows up in your experience, and how it can translate to climate roles. And once you see that clearly, you can begin to position yourself differently. The sustainability economy needs you, and there is a place for people with you, with your talent and dedication. But again, just know that it's not so obvious. It's incumbent upon the job seeker to connect the dots. So having this information is really helpful and putting it together in a way that is not pedantic for a hiring manager is really important. But I want to emphasize something else. I'm not a big believer in just going to job postings because a lot of jobs are never posted and a lot of jobs that are posted will never be filled. And so when you have all these in front of you, when I send this information out, start looking at organizations you're interested in. Um, think about, where could I bring value based on what I know now? And also think about, and we talked about this in a previous presentation I did for WCS, and we could talk about it more. This is one of 3 workshops I'll be doing. We can talk about it more in the next one, is how to engage in a way with an organization that might not be posting a job that shows your value and demonstrates that you are a thinking partner with them and asking questions, and then getting some communication with them and starting to move forward, developing relationships so that you might be able to identify a role that they're thinking of filling and haven't posted, or creating a role, which is that certainly can happen. So I want to thank you all for your attendance and participation. And if you'd like to discuss this or anything further about your job search, or just sort of talk about ideas, bounce ideas off of me, feel free to go to greencareershift.com and schedule a 30-minute free strategy session, no obligation. So thanks so much. And let's see, Marika, do we have a minute for Q&A if anybody has any questions?
Sure. We do have a question in the chat. Do you have any recommendations in what direction to focus on for people who are both good at and enjoy analytical and execution work, or any other combo for that matter?
That is a good question. Let's see. And I think I do have some specific roles. And you know what? Let me include that in an email I'm going to send out to all of you. So it was a combination of,
Analytical and execution.
great. Yeah, let me see. I can send some helpful information out to all of you. And who was it who asked the question?
That question was from Sheen Nie.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, that's from me. And thank you. I appreciate you. You nailed the pronunciation of my name. That doesn't happen very much.
Great. So I want to give you a more comprehensive answer. So let me take a look at that. And if anyone else has that sort of question of, what your primary profile is, or a combo, be happy to jot that down and include that in the email as well, if you'd like.
Wonderful, thank you. And we do have a couple of hands raised. So let's start with Amrita.
Yeah, hi. Thanks so much, Lisa. I really appreciate it. One thing that came up in our discussion, I was with um Mina, I think. Um Minu. And we were having the issue that like in our previous roles, we like other strengths, like they really like developed strengths that were not necessarily our main strength. Like, for example, for me, like one of my main strengths is analytical, and I was like a team manager, and I didn't really have to like utilize those skills very much at all in my role. And I was utilizing a bunch of other skills that were not really things I enjoy. And
Mhm.
so like trying to like get a job that's more fulfilling because it utilizes like say analytical, which I didn't use before.
I'm sorry. So the question was, how do you focus on roles where you can use that?
Yeah, like or does it like really even matter if like knowing your strength, like for example, knowing my strength as analytical, but not having a whole lot of like near past experience to draw on that strength from, because like my previous role didn't really utilize that necessarily
Okay. So
as much as like a manager.
when you think of analytical, do you like looking at data and analyzing data and coming up with, providing direction to people? What do you like doing around analysis?
Mm. Yeah, I think like I like seeing patterns and um yeah, and like strategizing, that kind of thing. And a lot of learning, learning is like a something I really enjoy too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm a little bit unclear, but I I'm sure like I need to think about it a little bit more as well. But I was just curious because it
So that's something. So you want to use your analytical tools in your next role more because you know that's a strength of yours.
right, right.
Okay, so yeah, let me include that. And hopefully what I'm including will benefit all of you if you have similar questions of, what would be good things to focus on. Um, so yeah, thank you for that question. Did we have another question?
Thanks. Oh no,
Mhm.
that yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and if you have a hard stop, I just want to say thank you for joining us. And you can always, you can reach Lisa here. Info, you can always reach us at membership at womencleantechsustainability.org. Um, and if you can hang around for a few more minutes, that'd be great. So let's see here. Back to hands that are raised. I see a question, Janelle Dudley.
Hi, yes, thank you.
Hi.
Um, so
Mhm.
hi, Lisa. I have so my profile was kind of equal amounts motivating, doing, and feeling. And I do kind of project management work, so certainly involved in kind of business operations and improving them, working with people a lot. And I certainly enjoyed doing those things, but was hoping to do them within like a green space or a green role.
Yeah.
And if I do see those jobs come up, which, maybe aren't super often, or sometimes I might see kind of a marketing job that reads a little bit, in line with the kind of the value I think I give to a company. I guess it still does seem like I know many people have mentioned that I'm not getting any responses, or if there are companies that maybe could use someone with my skills, I'm not quite sure how to identify them. So I'm not sure if there's, some tips you can give on how to best, maybe read into roles and see which companies might need someone with my skill set and how to, approach them.
Yeah. So you're doing project management and you enjoy operations and working with people with which you're also doing. I would look at, certainly project management in a climate context, and there's a lot of that out there. It could show up as operations, it could show up as program management. So sometimes program and project are
Yeah,
interchangeable.
I
Have you
noticed that.
yeah, have you seen many job postings that interest you?
A couple, yes, a couple, but I wouldn't say it's a ton.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. And do you know what area of sustainability you're interested in?
So I've looked in the energy space mainly, and kind of in battery, but to be quite honest, I'm very open. I feel like there's no bad area to work in, I guess you could
Yeah,
say, if
yeah.
I'm completely honest. So if something came up in a different space, or maybe there are industries actually that you think program managers are being sought after a bit more, that might be good to know.
I know there are a lot in renewable energy, and they always need program and project managers. So I would, electrification. I mean, we need more of that right now. So I'm hoping that's going to take off. So I would look at companies doing electrification. Are you in the Bay Area?
No, I'm not,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay. I know there aren't a ton of companies yet doing that in the Bay Area, so that's probably a good thing. Where are you located?
I'm southeast, so in Atlanta.
Okay. Okay.
But I'm kind of open to moving, and I know I have a friend out in San Francisco, so
It's a
maybe
great
it's worth it.
place. Many of
Yeah.
us are transplants. Okay. So yeah, I'll include that, but I would definitely look at renewable energy. And I know it's been cut a little bit with this present administration, but organizations are still moving forward. As I talked about in the beginning of the presentation, companies are adopting sustainability goals across the board because
Mhm.
whatever's happening in Washington, those of us on the ground know what needs to get done.
Yeah, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I wanted to throw out there too some sort of adjacent to clean tech jobs I've seen just recently that I didn't even know existed are people who travel around and help assisting in implementing renewable projects. There's a like consultancy work. There's a lot of consultancy work in there. And these are usually organizations or individuals who partner with a larger
Mm.
company that needs to go out, do community buy-in, do presentations to the community. Those skills are not hard sustainability skills that you need to
Got it.
to get into that. So
Yeah, that's a great suggestion. Thank you.
sort of came up because that was fresh on the top of my mind. Um,
Are
and
those outreach roles or are they called something else?
I'm not entirely sure
Okay,
what they're called.
that's
Um,
interesting. Yeah.
Probably not outreach. They're probably, coordinators or program
Yeah.
Okay,
thing of some sort.
awesome.
Yeah, coordinator is like a catch-all.
It's a catch-all. Okay, that's
Yeah.
good to know. Thank you. Thank you,
Yeah.
ladies.
We'll take some more questions too, and I also wanted to give one more plug, because I manage our Instagram account. Well, I manage our social media accounts. I see a lot of roles in the nonprofit sector right now. Since the beginning of the year, they all got their budget funding re-upped, and they're still hiring. That's a good entry point too to try and get into this sector. Um, it may not be a big organization, but they're a lot more open to people with like adjacent skill sets. So check if you're not following us on Instagram and you're looking for a job, follow us on Instagram because I'm always posting jobs there.
Great.
Okay, so next let's hear from Deepa.
I was on mute, sorry. Um, so my question is, for whatever reason, I was not able to take this test that everyone took. How can I take it again? Like I created an account with my Google email, but it's just taking me to a dashboard. There's nothing in there that helps me say, okay, launch the test and answer these questions.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay. Um, Deepa, I'll reach out to you directly if that's okay.
I
And
actually did schedule a call with you on the
oh, good.
17th.
Okay, great. But I can reach out in the meantime and make sure that you can access that. So thank
That
you
would
for
be
letting me know.
awesome because I
Sure.
think that'll aid our conversation a
Yeah,
little bit.
absolutely. Okay, great. Thanks
Okay,
for letting me know.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna hop off. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Um, and then last I see, we've had a hand raised from Minu.
Hi. So I have a question. I was in the breakout room with Amrita, as she mentioned, my background also was very different from like what the profile the test results came, and I'm in full alignment with what the test the results were. My top five profile types were strategist, empathizer, believer, coach, and problem solver. So more in the analytical and relational side. And now that actually I go back to my previous work, I do see those points that I had the opportunity to work on alongside that areas. I was very, I felt confident and I felt, in place, and I added value. Like I worked with two interns, and I feel, it was a great relationship between us. They learned, we gained a lot through working together. So I hear a lot on LinkedIn that they say you have to put numbers and values to the job, descriptions that you have done. And I don't know how to put numbers to these kind of skills, like so I feel, my resume lacks those numbers and oh, this much I added this much that many dollars or this many, changed team size from this to that. How necessary it is to have those numbers in the resume and how I can cover if I don't.
Sure, yeah. Well, I come from a sales background, and so it's all about metrics. And in some with some other professions, it's harder to do that. Um, So I would be happy to talk to you, have a 30-minute session and see if I can help you to put some metrics to what you've done in some way or another so that, your resume gets noticed because it's not lacking in those. So feel free to schedule a session and I would love to dive deeper in that with you and no obligation to become a client. I'm happy to talk with you.
Sure. I mean, we were supposed to actually meet, but then I got so busy, so I couldn't follow up with
Okay.
you. But yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Okay, that'd be great. Thanks. I knew your name was familiar.
Wonderful. And I see we still have a few people here, so I'm going to go ahead and let's see, do we have one more? No, I'm going to go ahead and wrap us up. And while we do that, let's see, I'm going to share my screen real quick. Um, I want to just go over some of our upcoming events, and talk about what is going on here? This slideshow. Okay. Um, can you all just see my slideshow, hopefully?
Um, Not
No,
yet.
it's not working. All right, never mind. Um,
Do you want me to stop sharing? Would that be helpful?
I think you are not sharing.
Okay.
That's all right. Um, we do have a number of upcoming events. If you're in LA, we're doing LA Climate Week, wrapping up LA Climate Week. San Francisco Climate Week is launching. We're going to DC, Minnesota, New York, Portland. So we're all over the place. Check out our website for that. If you're entrepreneurially minded, check out our founder series. Um, and some of the recordings we have from our last year's founder series, which is up on our YouTube channel. And also encourage you to check out our volunteer section on our website because volunteering within this organization is actually a really great way to pad your resume, build out those other skills, and be in this sector. Okay. Women in clean tech and sustainability is in the sustainability clean tech sector. Work that you do with women clean tech sustainability totally counts. And I can say that from experience. I was not a part of this sector before I came to women in clean tech and sustainability. And since being around all of you incredibly amazing, inspiring women, and being able to expand my network, a lot of mind shift happened, right? And then being able to say that I'm a part of this community kind of like gives you some cred. We are pretty well known in a lot of parts of the industry now. So, it doesn't hurt to drop our name and let people know that you're a part of this community, especially if you are doing volunteer work. And then, when I was able to then transition more fully into the sector, not even through my directly from connections from here, but just from being out in the space and putting myself out in that space. So, if you have the time, definitely check out our volunteer board. There's lots of different types of opportunities that you can jump into. And I just want to thank you all for being here today and taking the time. Thank you so much, Lisa, for taking the time and offering this to our community. It's really special that we get to do this. And I hope that we see you at one of our upcoming future events, one of our members only networking sessions. I know I've seen some of you there before. And again, don't hesitate to reach out to us at membership@womencleantechsustainability.org.
Thanks, everyone. I really appreciate you showing up today and reach out at any time. Happy to talk.